Remember the term thing. It's a fact he's on us.
New technology, Shane.
Oh, yeah, I know the deal.
Live stream everything now,
It's great, isn't it?
All right,
and
We're
it's
in
supposed to
June.
catch everything.
Yeah.
So,
I don't see us, so I have to put this start, right?
ready?
We're ready.
Ready to go?
Looks like it.
Let's stand and join in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shane, would you lead us? Let's pray. Father, as we just said, under God, and that's just a recognition of your authority, that you have created the world to be a way, and you've created it in a way that honors you, and you created authority. And God, I'm thankful for these people here who fill that role that you have given. So God, I ask that you would give them wisdom to lead well, to do the work of government, which is to uphold justice and protect society. Will you give them clarity on how to do that so that you are glorified and our community thrives and flourishes? Ultimately, we live in a place that is a great place to be. So God, speak wisdom into their hearts as they lead well, and give them clarity as they run after the goals that are before them. We thank you so much for the hope we have because of Jesus. It's in his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Have fun tonight, guys.
All right, Ray, do we have a determination of quorum?
Yeah, we have determination point with everybody here, but Don Thompson, he had told us he was gonna be on vacation.
Correct. All right, Mike.
Okay. So tonight I just have a couple of things for you. In front of you, you should be able to find a proposal from HWC, which would be addendum number 9 to our contract. HWC helps us with our community crossing grants and also our asset management plan. So that is something that's actually submitted to Purdue. And it helps us grade our roads so that when we go after grant funds, we can show what level they are between a 1 through 10 scale. So they're asking for a $20,000 addition to the existing contract, and that would keep us they would help keep us able to apply for community crossing grants. So, Andy, I believe you looked at the contract.
Then you have a number, you told me a number that it would cost or percentage or something, it was pretty,
But it paid off.
yeah. Whatever.
So, let's see, we've been awarded $2,262,947. And we paid HWC $144,823. So I think it's been well worth their assistance. And you'll find that on the second page in the first paragraph. And that's since 2016.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion. We go ahead and approve the 20,000 for the crossing.
Motion by Todd to approve $20,000 for community crossing, towards the community crossings grant.
What's HWC?
It's a $20,000 increase for our current HWC agreement.
That one.
I'll second it.
Second by Cliff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
And it's also time for our quarterly reports. And each of you have a copy of my quarterly report regarding the planning commission, board of zoning appeals, right-of-way permits, and city cemetery Cedar Hedge. If any of you have any question, please get with me and I can talk about those to you. Another time. There. So. If there's nothing else from the council, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. I got a little bit out of turn here. I need to ask for approval of the June 2025 minutes.
Right on mine.
Yeah, I got one line down. Council have any discussion on the minutes or comments?
Make a motion and we approve the June minutes as stated.
Motion by Britt to approve the June minutes as stated,
I'll second.
second by Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried unanimous. All right, it is a quarterly meeting, so Jamie, would you like to speak?
How's everybody tonight?
Hey.
So in your package, you should have the second quarterly report for the Parks Department. As far as programming, this quarter we had a Mother's Day after school arts crafts class. We participated in the OC EMS Health Fair. We saw about 300 students on that day. And then we also had the June Bug Camp earlier in June. I have recently recertified in CPR training. We've done our fire drills for the quarter. We worked with the Boy Scouts on they wanted to do the river sweep, so they went down to Denver Seekman Park and on Arnold's Creek. And they were very complimentary of both of those locations. And they said they picked up one piece of trash at Denver Seekman Park and it's usually more at Arnold's Creek. So that was a good thing for both organizations. We have been working with Ohio County Soil and Water on a pollinator garden at Denver Seekman Park, and it's looking really nice. If you get a chance to go down there, it's just above the big shelter on the hill there.
Saw pictures where it's blooming now.
Yeah, it looks nice. And they're working on getting some signage. They've applied for some grants for kind of a thank you sign, and then also a sign that states what flowers are in the garden. As far as maintenance things, and we did receive our annual fire and safety inspection from Indiana Department of Homeland Security on both the community center and the Schroeder building. These are required for the amusement and entertainment permits each year. We did have some flooding damage at some of the parks earlier in the spring. And then we also had some straight line wind damage a couple weeks ago, mainly at Schroeder, a couple days before the fair. So those are still being kind of addressed. I know 911 lost one of their poles with the tornado siren on it out there. So that's going to take some time to get that back up and going. We had the community center floor deep cleaned and waxed. That was $1,200. I painted the community center porch columns and the exterior kitchen door, and also the interior hallway doors at the community center. Brandon Capel, I do want to give a big shout out to him. He was very helpful one day during the fair with some light issues that we were having. I don't know if that was from the storm or what, but he came and was able to resolve that for us before one of the events at the 4-H fair. And if you go to the back page, it kind of highlights the rentals and other programs, and then also the bigger expenses that are not typical monthly expenses. Are there any questions?
You do a great job.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy 4th.
You too. Have a good weekend. All right, that you don't have any other reports from boards or committees. Andy, do you have anything legal updates?
No legal updates.
Move on to the second reading of ordinance 2025-5. It's amended RLF 5 goals.
So this is second reading. This was presented to the RLF board this the end of last month, and they did vote to give a favorable recommendation for the ordinance, for the amendments to the ordinance. That's ordinance 2025-5.
Anything from council on that regard?
The way we looked through the information, and it looks like, you know, I guess if it was approved, we would need a council member. And then we do have one spot that is empty, that you don't have to fill tonight. I mean, there's Kathy Kelly that resigned back in March, April, and so it would be a council appointment. That's my understanding.
This is backwards though. So we've got, the notes we have are 3 council current makeup, if you include Captain Kelly,
Yeah.
3 council, 2 mayor.
So
That
now
should be-
you're moving.
That should be flipped. The mayor's supposed to have 3 appointments. Council has 2 appointments. And then if the ordinance is approved, it'll be the
Mayor
mayor and the
has-
mayor's 3 appointments, and then it would be a council member and council's 2 appointments. So your existing appointments are Debbie Gregory and Gary Kennett. The mayors are Angela and Kathy Rue. And so I would think the mayor should appoint Kathy Kelly as replacement because he's supposed to have 3.
He's supposed to have the third one. You know.
And that's according to our existing ones. That's not a change. That's according to the system.
And we usually ask for one to have banking experience, which Angela Seaton does. And I'll have to live in the city. So it's, you know, you have to remember that. You know, the information, although it is there is transparency there. It is also a lot of confidential financial information. So it's not something that, you know. Anybody wants it plastered on the front page of the paper, what their taxes were, what they made in their income last year or anything. So, you know, you do have to kind of think about those things when you're appointing the members. In the past, probably 10, maybe 15 years, the board has recommended someone to the council or the mayor. But that's not really what it says in the bylaws. So, but at any rate, I think it could be very helpful for you guys, and for, you know, the community as a whole. To work a little more together, maybe on things and so.
All right, so the first step would be to, if you choose to, would be to pass the mentioned ordinance. 2025-5.
You guys have any questions on it? Well, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-5.
Motion by Cliff. We got a second. Second by Lisa. All those in favor?
Hi.
Carried unanimous. Now, then on that same note, bear in mind, think about, you know, different board members and because the vacancies also, we do need a councilman.
I was gonna say Don's not here.
Don's not here. You
We nominate Don. Let's nominate Don.
I thought he said he would do it.
I think it was just in candid discussions, you know, prior. You're right. He did mention that he would be willing to serve on it, and that's what happens too when you miss a meeting. So.
Yeah, that's good.
I think he'd be really good.
All right.
The biggest thing is the meetings are usually at 4:30 on a Monday. So
Let's,
What's every
Let's
month or
tentatively
what?
say it's Dawn and
yeah.
Do that.
we can pivot if we have to do that, right?
That's
Yeah.
true.
Mhm.
So it'd be good to make a motion on that. Yeah. Vote on it.
I'll move that we nominate Don Thompson to be the council representative on the RLF.
So stated. Motion by Lisa,
I'll second that one.
second by Brett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimous, thanks. All right, second reading of ordinance 2025-6, which will be the DORA.
The only change between first reading and second reading was as discussed during the last meeting about the stickers. And I know Ray got some designs and got some numbers as far as costs, which seem to be a minimal cost. So yeah, this just stands as second reading. I know we had a very lengthy and healthy discussion last month.
Was, this is immaterial to this, but the stickers, I mean, they're gonna stay on those cups, right?
You know,
I mean,
it depends on what cups that they would get. I would think they would stay on for the event,
Yeah.
you know, and I would think that if they didn't, they could say, you need another sticker, you
Yeah.
know,
I know there's different quality
yeah.
stickers and different adhesives and.
And I think
they-
the important thing is that the stickers put on before the drinks put in the cup, because then it's gonna start sweating in conversation and stuff.
And I think, you know, if you get a lot of ribs on the cup, sometimes that'll peel,
Right.
you know, but, you
So
know,
it has to
then.
be thought out.
But I mean, I think, you know, there are minimal costs to start with, and they have been on our golf carts. I mean, they do our golf carts, they do our boat stickers.
Yeah, I like for them to
You
do
know,
it. I like
So
the,
I think that, you know, if we let Dion know that, you know, how important it is that it sticks.
Sticky is,
Yeah.
stickers stick.
You know, that they'll work with us and. You know, we don't know how many to expect to start off with, but it's good with them because we can whip that stuff out pretty quick.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-6, the DORA. Ordinance.
Hi, Britt. 2025-6.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Todd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you.
And this isn't like this, now it's in place, we have to send this off to
This'll take-
Alcohol Tobacco Commission for their, then the businesses will need to do their designated permitting process.
We have, there's, you know, rules on signage and a lot of different things we have to get all the particulars on that before it actually takes flight, so.
Do we think that it would be ready for maybe?
That'd be cool.
Is that high in the sky?
That sounds good.
I mean,
Maybe gains September.
September or.
Well,
Yeah, maybe.
I would say. The ordinance, unless there's any issues with the ordinance, I think would have the approval of the ATC before Navy Dean. But then it's on the businesses to get their paperwork done prior to Navy.
So when we send the stuff to them, do we send them stuff to say? You know, first, we want this to start
Thank you, man.
at Navy Bean, so hop on that phone and ride.
It's short, it is still short notice, but we'll try, and I'm Lincoln personally, I will, you guys can as well, you can speak.
I mean, there's only four.
Yeah, there's not many, it's good to, we'll send them stuff, but I think it'll be a good idea to speak to them again like we did before.
They're gonna have to figure out the requirements. Do we know what that is specifically? Can we hand them a form? Or a link or a something?
Yeah, let me see if there's.
Usually on them.
Right. It's just three to know, but, and even actually. What's the Mexican restaurant's name, the new, they at this point don't have a liquor license yet as far as I know, so. It'd be good for them to go.
Yeah.
Be good for them to go ahead and maybe try to process the paperwork, so if, hopefully when they do that, that they'll have an order, and then the other one's just the Legion and King's Landing. So it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's just a one-page form, looks like, it does come to the city for approval.
So we'll know.
Right. Sound good. We'll work on it and try to. We got to this point after all the discussions, so we're just driving forward, but
See how it goes.
yes, correct.
And the timing, I know one of the main things a lot of people were concerned about was Fourth of July and being able to sit down there with a cooler. So the timing actually works out really well because it's gonna be after Fourth of July. And then you'll have almost a full year under your belt before Fourth of July is back and you can kind of see how it goes.
Yeah.
All right, Navy Bean Festival update.
And five is full. I copied you guys the agenda. From our last meeting, just so you could kind of go through and just see. A lot of it is, questions that, might have. I will tell you. I failed to get the picture, but we are going to have a Mrs. Navy Bean. And, she hopefully will be here by mid-September. They're saying the end of August. In September, so.
Guess what? Who's wearing that?
Well, Cliff has volunteered to be Mr. Navy Bean here and there and do some, PR for us, maybe go through, like, even this weekend, if we could get somebody to walk through the
Ahead of time.
4th of July, maybe do a little bit. I think I passed some of this off to you guys before, but
Big surprise visit.
just, doing some of those things would be helpful. We did,
Wear it to Walmart or shopping.
we have,
Security.
Go work.
I think most of the stuff you guys have seen and read, so I'm not going to go on about all of it, but. I feel comfortable with everything, but as I've said before to a few of you and Steve and, the biggest concern that we have is the advertising and the, sponsors, vendors. And.
Are we having writings this year?
Yes, we've already got that booked, and we've got a walkthrough on that, I think on the 30th or.
We've done the lines, the office has done the lion's share of the work at this
Yeah.
point, but there's still the formalities of
The
it.
big thing is like we had talked before, the sponsorships, the vendors, following up with them. The parade entries, I mean, to be quite honest, a lot of those don't come in until the last week or so, some of them that day, so.
And even vendors
So,
drag their feet too.
But the vendors are important to try to keep in line. So we have, we met with Kendall and we met with Jim and discussed some of the options. And then Kendall came back with, a contract and I basically, unfortunately, for lack of a better word, I probably, picked it apart. But I didn't really pick it apart, I just said it's not really what we requested. And I think Kendall and I think tourism could do a fine job on it, don't get me wrong. But, I think we had somewhat of a misunderstanding, and what we need now is advertising, and we need that person that we'll get 3 or 4 calls during the day, maybe that's for sponsorships or vendors. And we have to send them to somebody because we're busy with other things. So what we have, came up with is after talking with Steve, and Inez and Heather and Mike was on vacation. I can't remember who
So
else.
Mike's
was
doing
in.
most of it since he was on.
Yeah,
vacation.
we voted him in charge,
Exactly.
just like we just did Don.
Nah.
But, we thought that if we could, if they want to help us, we would take their help. But the contract came back at a little higher than what we felt and a little more than what we felt needed to be done with advertising. We need 5 or 6 advertisements, a couple little, PR bulletin things that we can get to, the radio and the newspaper and get out there, and they could do that. That's what they do. That's way more their privy than mine. But, we had thought that if Inez will take the calls And she
I'm
will,
willing to help as well.
and she will direct them to Steve, to me, to Mike, to Heather, to whoever, and we'll try to work through it. My biggest concern, as I said, but it could happen at any time, is that somebody gets sick or, you know, and then we're down another person. But if that happens, we'll just deal with that at that time. There's no real reason to cry over spilt milk that hasn't been spilt yet. So, but I think I calculated up and, you know, if we took 50% of Jen's time, came up to about $4,500. Towards the Navy being would have been half of, like, would have been what she would have made in 8 weeks. Or in 8 pays. So what I have proposed, and Andy, I checked with Andy and I checked with them, is if we were to pay Mike, Heather, and Yanez an additional $500 stipend for July, August, and September. And they, you know, they could do it. I don't know, I did put clerk treasurer on there, but because, you know, I don't know that that's going to be permitted. And if it's not, it's just not, it's okay, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm doing it anyway, so doesn't matter. But the, I did think that because Heather has carried the load for, since basically a lot of it since January through May, in June, that maybe I could request at least one more 500 stipend for her, but it would be 1,500 for Mike, 1,500 for Yanez, 1,500 or 2,000 for Heather. And if they allow me to do it, which I don't think they will, but that's the attorney's call, you know, but I'll have to send the state board of accounts and it may not be worth, well, to be quite honest. So, but if I could get approval to amend the salary ordinance to include those, I think we can get it done this year. And it be, you know, I think tourism will help us some. You know, I don't know, I mean, I don't think they're gonna help us a lot for free. But, you know, we don't really expect them to help us for free.
I'd
But,
like to make just a quick comment about that, and I don't understand the bolts and nuts of tourism and Main Street and all that, but. If they're funded and they have funds in their tourism for all of Rising Sun, not just High Street, I'm not sure why they're not involved. And I feel like we've got to get to that point sooner than later, because
I mean, we can help.
I'm not saying
You know
this
what I
round,
mean?
I'm not saying this year,
Right.
I'm just saying,
And
I'm
in
speaking
the
this.
meantime, we can help,
Yeah.
but we just can't, it's not our forte, you know, it's not what we do.
If we have to figure out where their funds come from and we have to share in that so that we can have someone to do that. You know, I mean, if they're not gonna do it all, we need to figure out something else is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
In the future, I'm not talking about this year.
Right. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, we're struggling, you know.
I just feel at this point, it seems like we're this close to this year's event.
Yeah,
That I almost feel safer if we just finish this out in-house than involve anybody else.
Steve has said, you know,
I just
he
feel
would
like
be
we
here
know
to
we
do
get-
whatever we
Yeah.
need him to do.
Yeah.
Which,
and
This year.
I'm not saying they have to do it, but what I am saying is there could possibly not be a Navy Bean Festival in the future if
we can't.
they don't do the
find
tourism part of it, which is supposed to draw people from out of this community for all of Rising Sun, county, city, everyone. That's what I thought that was for.
And Kendall's good. Kendall's good at what she does. So is Jim is very resourceful, very helpful. I've watched them build a lot of their events on Main Street the past 2 or 3 years.
They've really,
And
yeah, the
really,
past-
they've stepped
Last year,
up.
They've really bucked up.
But, you know, I just think if we can do it, you know, I'd like to be able to compensate them because they are going to be doing more work. It's not an easy task.
And we're last couple of years, we had Jen in the office, so we're short that other person too, so that's the difference. All right,
So I guess this time too would be, I have that on, I think I had it on there twice. Do we have Navy Bean?
But
and then
this
we
was
get
just a-
the salary.
probably, but you wanna go, we're just one leads into the other. I think we're done with the Navy Bean discussion right at this point.
Unless they got.
Unless you guys have
questions.
anything. Then we covered, the next question would have been the stipend, adding that to the salary ordinance, so. And that's the next item, right, the amendment to the salary ordinance.
Yeah. I did change something on that amendment. I changed this back to amending an ordinance 2024-16.
Yes.
So I went back to this one. That was the last amendment we did.
Very, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that's the most up to.
so
So what's this called exactly again?
it would be ordinance 2025-7. And unfortunately, it's an ordinance, so would almost need a first and a suspension or a suspension.
And the only thing this pertains to is
Is
this,
the Navy.
is this stipend. In that respect, I think if I would ask council to consider. What's the wording? Suspending the rules on first reading because. Kind of needs to happen sooner than later because we're underway every day with it, so. We're normally could wait,
Need a motion to suspend the rules?
we do.
I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules to handle it this year.
2025.
I'll second.
So motion by Cliff to suspend the rules on ordinance 2025-7 and second by Lisa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the next order would be to pass the ordinance if you choose.
I'll make a motion, go ahead and accept the new salary ordinance.
Motion by Todd to accept salary ordinance 2025-7.
And I'll second it, but I echo Brett's comments
Thank
for
you.
next year.
Right.
I agree.
Second by Cliff. Favor?
Aye.
And I agree, everyone, including this office, feels the same way as far as moving forward. That's
We
correct.
just gotta get to that point.
This is just a more of a change that happened this year. But regardless of what's happened here in the office with lack of help and moving forward, to Bridge comment, that is a good, it's a good point anyway.
I mean, there's still gonna be a point person within the city,
Oh, yeah.
So,
but you know,
Right.
yeah,
all that other stuff
it's
is
just,
right down their alley.
It is.
And there's no reason that they can't do it, and we need to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Tourism soar.
so,
We all agree.
and should I have in there that, because I don't think it's on here anywhere, that stipend is for July, August, September? Cause it's not on here.
So I think that, so the amendment would authorize the stipend, and then I maybe just have council follow up with a motion after the ordinance is approved.
It's been approved.
Okay, so a
I can
motion,
put that in my motion for July, August, September.
July, August.
Yeah.
September.
Okay, any okay for Heather to get June?
That's fine. Put that in there too. That's my motion.
How you're wording this. Do we already vote on it?
The ordinance has been adopted, so now I think if
It's
Todd wants to make a motion to
Okay.
approve the stipend for,
Okay,
July, August and
I'll go ahead and make that
September.
motion. July, August, September, and
for
then,
Mike and
Yes.
Inez, and
then
June,
Heather.
July, August, and September for Heather.
yes, that's my motion. Thank you.
I was trying to get it.
You got
I'll
it.
second that.
So, as motion was so moved by Todd, second by Lisa, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, liability insurance. What you got to it?
liability insurance, it's just somewhat informational considering that we have to have liability insurance. And,
Necessary evil.
We gotta have it.
so I think you guys received the spreadsheet thing that I sent you. And if you can understand my scribbles there on the side. Basically, the whole package went up 13% from 24 to 25 and 23% from 23 to 25. But I mean, for the most part, you know, in talking with Greg, you know, and just if you listen to the news over the past 3 years, a lot of this has to do with just the flooding, the disasters that have been that are at no real, you know, there's nothing that we could have really done about them. This amount is paid, as you can see, it's split by the city and the utilities, so our part was of that 210 was, you know, 106 and 19. So, but still, I will tell you, it's really scary because I think when I first started, it was like that. You know, so, we have taken bids on it before. And I mean, they are so minute of differences that, I mean, it's just, usually they're all basically done by an underwriter. We had Gallagher. Anyway, we had somebody come in and do one other time.
So these were initially even higher than that.
Yeah.
And Greg argued at length with them to keep the rates where they are, according to him, so we appreciate that.
So, it is on the docket. Like I said, the check is something that is due Monday. So it's not like,
Can't get out of it now.
Well, you have to have it.
Yeah, just for your information.
Yep.
Exactly. All right, records, retention and destruction.
all right, let me put my little sound.
Sounds odd, doesn't it? Something they're gonna blow something up.
But they've been busy.
So you can, take a look in the back there at some point if you'd like, but we went through about, what'd you say, maybe 100 bags of shredding. And a lot of, various retention items as well. We've made 3 requests now. And we're, you know, getting to the point now where we can say this definitely needs scanned in, this doesn't, you know. These need to be destroyed. We can see counters, we can see,
Yeah, it's already looks a lot better.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
so, we actually flagged down the recycling guy and loaded him up the first week. So, you know, it's been good, and like I said, a lot of the stuff has been really good because she's actually been aware that this might be important, or this might not, so that helps.
I mean, find some things that she didn't know.
Yeah, we had that one thing for Cliff. So, we've got a picture, you might want.
Yeah,
there.
historical stuff that you, I want to
Great.
take to the museum.
Great.
And, we've also got in that same note. Back behind there, it wasn't in your packet. But, we've got several items. That we would like to get rid of. They're all old. It's a whole corner full of stuff in here. There is one. Tower and, what is it, monitor, and that looks to be fairly new. We think it may have came from the police department or Main Street. And so we were going to see if Rusty could go ahead and set that up downstairs in the spare office. Set it up so that if we, somebody needed to work down there, they had access.
Yeah, they got a little space or something, yeah, they're good.
So, there was also on, if you see these old phones, like our phones now, like these say 6J-Link T27 phones, ours are T54s, just so you know, that's how old they are. Those came from the PD. So, those are old, so those little, but all of this stuff, we feel is like the hole punch or stapler, the stapler wasn't working. So it might work for hole punch, but it's not gonna work for a stapler. There's we just want to have the ability to get rid of this stuff. None of it, I believe, is of any value. The only thing that might be is there are probably 30 to 40 bicentennial banners. They were nice ones. They had the bicentennial emblem. One time we had said we would try to sell them. And we just don't have the time or the staff.
We could archive one of them.
So we were going to see,
Here's another.
here's another thought. We were gonna see if you want them. And if you want some,
No,
we were gonna sell them for $10 a piece
Yeah.
or something and,
If you wanna mess with it, you guys can have the proceeds at the
Yeah, that
museum.
would be great.
okay.
Yep.
So, and then we have one other piece that I didn't get on there. Is would you want the old Navy bean guy?
The costume,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of fun to archive.
That's what we thought.
Yeah,
The OG one.
So,
spray him with Lysol, so.
yeah, we might need to take a little scrub brush too.
We could archive.
Get Rory and Weeze down
Yeah,
there with
make
a couple
sure
of
it's
toothbrushes.
Yeah,
And it looks old.
yeah.
It would be kind of.
So
Yeah.
these towers, I mean, your guy scrubs those out, right? Or
Yeah,
whatever.
he usually clears them out. As far as the printers. There are a few printers back there, and when he says if they're any good, if, I know we've donated some to senior housing. We've donated some to Cliff. I think we gave some down to the. So, if he does say some of them, will be good or usable, we might say, hey, do you guys know anybody that might be able
He
to?
gave us one years ago, and I think we used that thing another 5 years.
Yeah,
And it,
If they're operable rather than waste them, give them some, and
so anyway, that's the disposal of equipment there. And we've got a whole box of wires, plug boards. So I'm gonna see if Brandon, if they can use any of that in their neck of the woods.
so council choose to do that, to allow this.
Real quick, before you let me pull up, cause I want you to put an actual citation on record.
Okay.
Can we also just on the one that we signed, right, that we're giving
The Navy need things.
these guys these to sell,
The banners.
no, yeah.
those banners to the,
If they don't sell, we'll just archive.
well, I mean, to do whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care if you
Right.
don't sell them or
Yeah.
do sell them, but
Right.
I don't want someone to say we sold them and we did
Yeah,
it or
they'd be under 1,000.
or whatever.
I mean, I can update it, and bring it back for signature. Well,
Once we deem it, we can't gonna use it, you can do whatever you want with it. So,
And he's just looking for a proper. Already for the heading of it.
So it would be the disposal of the equipment that's being disposed would be pursuant to Indiana Code 5-22-22-8. The donations to the Historical Society would be pursuant to 5-22-22-6. So I think just a motion to approve the disposal pursuant to the citing statutes.
We'll make that as worded.
I will.
Motion by Lisa to include that as worded.
Also,
Second by Todd. All those in favor?
Right.
Unanimous. Thanks.
Ray, can we sign what we have or?
Yeah, I think as long as I worded the way that Andy has said, we'll be fine, and I will, and then I'll make sure when I do the minutes that I send it to him, that he thinks it.
Yeah.
fine.
Because I'm sure there's gonna be other things other than those very
Probably
specifically
will.
listed.
Yeah,
Does the
So-
ordinance get signed?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah, all these, there's a lot of knick-knacky stuff.
Yeah.
There, our boards. Do have. Thank you. All right, salary ordinance 2026, first reading. Discuss it, Ray.
actually, this is just a handout to you guys, and I can. Give you guys a brief. Very brief. My scribbles here that me and Steve discussed on this. Basically, these rates are 3% increases. I will tell you that we have discussed, like with the street department, that maybe next year, since they're all somewhat new positions. You know, like when we've had the police department in the past, like if you hired a first class patrolman, after 6 months, all first class patrolmen made the same thing. If you wanted to be a lieutenant, a sergeant, or a chief, you made more money. But your first class patrolmen all made the same, which, you know, they all do the same. So it really didn't matter if, like, Johnny had started in 2010 and Scotty started in 2017. After 6 months, first class patrolmen make the same because they do the same job.
Great.
So we would like to work on that next year. This year we had, with everybody moving positions, with Doug retiring and with Paul retiring, you know, it's, we have talked with Jason, and Jason has approved the amounts there for, basically at a 3% increase for everybody. Let's see, the part-time as well. Summer help, we did not increase. We did not increase. Usually if we do summer help for the street department, we do the pool
It's all summary.
because it's all summer help. And if you don't, you only have certain people asking to work in certain places. Last year, we researched them, our numbers were fine. The reason it says $12 to $13 is because if they come back each year, they get an increase in their rate. So some of them have been here for, if they've been here for 3 or 4 years, they make $13. If they start this year, they make 12. So, as far as any of the boards, the redevelopment BZA, RLF was changed in 22, everybody else was changed in 22, 23. All the amounts were increased at that point. We don't normally increase the boards every year, so, let's see, as far as the manager and the pool goes, they were increased, last year. And their rates are, they were fairly consistent last year. Matter of fact, that's why we raised them to $14 to $15 an hour last year. We, think that's pretty much the ball of wax there. Oh, on the, clerk treasurer's office, I did increase or requested an increase of, $23 to from $20.56 to $23 an hour for the office staff. That would be Heather and Mark. And then for the new hire, I had requested to 21 and Kathy 23.50. If I do have more information on that, I'll be sending that out to you as a comparison with how they compare with the utility side and the difference in what is done. So, that's where I am. This is just a first reading, a first look. You guys have just got to see it. You can change it next time.
Yeah, plenty of time to
You've got
decide.
plenty of time to come in and say, where the heck did you get this number?
Read through it.
Which we would prefer to have that than not. So, like I said, we try to make them as, I did put on the outside the approximate annual, and I did that a few times, but there's always a chance that I miscalculated it. So it's a formula. So if you look at it, and it doesn't make sense, just tell me and we'll take a look at the formula and make sure it works. So that would be what we would call 2005-8. Right? So 7, we did.
The
that's
salary
the
was
salary.
amended, yeah.
Is the executive secretary actually paid hourly, or is that a salary job?
Hour.
Hourly.
So this was ordinance 2025-8, first reading, right?
Yeah.
That's all the action on this, at that point, right, for stages first reading. All right, transfer resolution, you have there, right?
It's a fun one. It's just a couple entries, but they're big. See that one? They're not really big, but they're basically goes back to the sheriff and interlocal. So the public safety money that we won't get after 27, but that we should have been receiving, we're getting it, but it wasn't in full, so we took more out of the council budget than we did out of public safety lit. So it'll just fall out next year in a sense when we go to pay the January, when we'll have more in public safety lit, so we'll pay more out there. But at least we had 118,000 to move. So it'll be I'll be scrunching on pennies on you guys' budget. Be saying no, that has to come out of somebody else's budget. So, but the and then the overage of the liability insurance and the pool, their contractual services are over. I think that has to do with their internet and their what was it? There was something else they had the environmental lab people. So once we get that situated, I mean, they do have, I told Steve they do have a 25 guards over there. And 6 concessions and, you know, next year we might wanna think of bringing that down to 20 guards. Because
Lack of hours.
the guards are lucky to get 25 hours of pay.
And you get too many,
And so then you won't, what'll happen is next year, nobody will apply because they want more hours.
it's nice because, yeah, it's more of a, you feel more secure if you have access.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine line, like I told Steve,
But
it's a fine
But
line.
also the kids, I understand too, if they don't get enough hours, then they'll look for other employment.
So, but that is resolution 2025-8.
Questions?
And those were actually the only 3 items that were off, so
Very
we're,
good.
you know, for being July, that was pretty good. Of course, they were big.
Comments, council? Like to approve transfer resolution 2025-8.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Lisa, to approve 2025-8 transfer resolution.
I'll second.
Second by Cliff, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
And just,
It would stay on. Important dates upcoming, this Saturday, Stars and Stripes celebration, July 5th. Board of Works meeting, Todd,
I want to bring up, I want to move that meeting to Wednesday, to July 30th. Day before,
we got the day before because he can't.
I got, I
make
start
it
back
on
soon.
Thursday.
that's been higher.
Just putting it one day off the meeting.
I don't know, did we put that in paper that it would be higher?
What's that? So.
Oh, on the vote on the new
On the
hires,
hires.
okay, yeah,
See if I can find it.
I mean, that's.
good thought.
Can you can?
Let me see.
I'm not gonna be there.
I mean, it may not be in the thing.
Like if like you advertise, there's a specific exact time you're gonna call and vote on, is that what you need?
I mean, if we did have a, what do you call it, a timeline, but I don't know that. I mean, they have to have their applications in on the 14th,
2 weeks prior.
so, you know, I mean, I don't know that it
Make a difference.
would matter.
I
As
don't
long
think so, unless counselor sees something in it.
The advertisement just says when the applications are due by, it doesn't say when they'll be reviewed.
That's good.
That's fine.
Okay, so,
Wednesday the 3rd.
July 30th versus the 31st, it's one day sooner.
Thank you.
And we discussed doing it a week prior, but that doesn't work here, so it's just one day off. So we advertise the meeting ahead of time anyway, so it's,
that's Wednesday, right?
yes. Andy's good that day and assume you are too, Ray. You always hear him,
There's, not next week.
just on next week, that's right. Everybody's, you
I'm trying to get somebody to take USB minutes.
and Unit both are going.
Yeah.
All right. The next August council meeting would be August 7th at 6 P.M.
Just for the record, I will be out of town.
Okay.
Is that, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can go ahead and you record that and we'll remember that as well too for her.
That will be salary ordinance approved tonight, so
Right.
just so you guys.
Everybody else be there.
I'll tell them to call,
Yeah.
call Lisa.
So,
You gonna make it? Yeah.
You will have had time to review all that prior anyway, so.
I mean,
Yeah. Right. Budget dates reminder. Ray, you want to throw the dates?
Oh, yeah.
Let them know that.
I think they're tired of receiving them, but. We have. Second reading and approval of salary ordinance August 7th, budget publication and gateway August 19th. Public hearing September 11th and adoption September 25th. All of those are at 6 p.m.
So we have a meeting on the 19th.
No,
that's it.
the 25th.
Oh, okay.
You guys have that in writing or email somewhere to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
I was gonna
Just
say.
record all
Yeah.
those, just to, yeah.
She gives us.
I thought she did. She just remind you again. And me, everybody. So. Okay, miscellaneous, Cliff, you, something we discussed today, why don't you just speak?
Yeah, I'm taking off my council hat now. I'm director of the Historical Society, so we just ran into a major problem over at the society. Our main HVAC system crashed and burned. Dave Waston tried to revive it. 5 visits, and it's shot. That system was the first thing I put in 13 years ago when I took the chair, and then when I take the chair back 13 years later, the first thing that hit me is the main HVAC valve. And the reason it's so concerning is it controls the humidity and temperature in the main gallery where all the major artifacts are at. So it's kind of a vital thing. Dave Waston has given me a family discount. It's good to be a small community. He's basically priced the unit at cost. His labor has been drastically discounted, and he's going to write off all the service calls prior to this. We are in need of the new system, and the total cost is $4,500. We do have some money. The city is very generous to us, and the county gives us operating funds. But we took that money this year and we balanced our budget for once and invested some in the community foundation for future growth. So I'm here with my handout asking if there's any way the city could assist us financially at some amount to correct this problem so we can get the environment back to where it needs to be at the museum.
As humid as it is, it's pretty drastic. My thoughts originally was a new unit plus his service charge that he's eating basically is 4,500. That's cheap. That's way less. I said it's gonna be 10 grand plus.
And it's just about that cost.
Where would this money come from if we do this?
Yeah, I mean,
Is it, for what part of the building?
the main Seekman Gallery where the plat is, the Walnut Street Gallery.
That's a pretty good size.
That's big
Right now, we're overwhelming the Whitlock new HVAC and the back. We've got fans trying to pull in
They're
here.
under gun now.
And it's not a good situation. So,
Yeah, that's a deal you'll never.
and on top of that, the refrigerator went out last week. I paid for that out of my pocket. Cause
I have,
we couldn't pull it out anywhere.
funds available
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
council special projects. There's. 161,000.
No left.
Did you hear that?
we'll be okay.
There's 161,000 in council special projects.
That's enough to maybe get it done.
We can give him a few bucks.
I can buy new hair with that.
Yeah.
They might throw in a chair.
I'll make a motion that we take it off special needs.
The full amount? You want the full amount from the city? Motion by Todd to assist in the new HVAC system at the assumed cost of 4,500 or whatever. Is that exact?
Yeah, 4,500
Is the price.
Yeah.
I second that.
Second by Lisa, all in favor,
And I have to, okay, so
Cliff abstained.
I am very grateful. The society is
Thank
very
you.
grateful. Appreciate it.
That's an emergency thing that.
And I had planned to go to the county too, but the ping pong game would take too long.
Have a
Yeah, oh, really?
church has it.
I think you can put it in 2 days, but if it's that longer.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. We just, this just came up today.
We did the right thing.
Seen that.
I did right.
Showed me on the internet where they was.
Did right.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
All right, at some point, again, the school has approached me about the endowment community foundation, and if we have any intentions of any additional funding to the school. And again, I don't expect an exact answer, but I'm just a liaison between the school and you guys, and so we don't have to go into in-depth discussion on it, but is there any thoughts at all?
Yeah. I think we should, based on revenue
Right,
of the boat currently
right,
and what we was normally doing on the share revenue, we should look at that.
that's correct.
And,
The priors,
and I would like to see what that is, what we estimate that to be.
And I told.
and that was Ray and I's discussion today as well.
Yeah,
You had asked and I said, I should be able to get that,
yeah.
so.
Just an estimate based on their current revenue, and we all know that's going,
And this is gonna be less than it was when we
it's gonna be a lot
we
less.
had to interlocal with them back whenever,
And
correct?
I would like to reestablish that, and then, when he wants 179,000 for playground equipment, we're not gonna have it, that's that simple.
Okay.
Unless they decide to give us
Or
more.
a track,
Well, and sometimes, as my,
More ARPA.
yeah, as my stepfather said, there's niceties and necessities, and sometimes we
Right.
have to
it's,
look at that.
That's good thoughts. And
Yep.
again, no action tonight, but we're all on the right, we agree that Ray will get those figures together. And I think if we're gonna do that, we need to take action also he can budget.
yeah. Yeah, I would
It's
like,
budget time for everybody.
Yeah, the school's important. Just have to-
yeah,
All right, and I'll tell him what we'll discuss this evening. He'll appreciate that.
They did put out new Senate Bill 1 numbers, but I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Oh, I haven't
I got
either.
it today.
Hmm,
I just haven't had a chance. I could match the second ones. I matched the first ones, but I could not match the second ones out. So I was, matter of fact, gonna call Brandon and say, wanna bring your calculator down and we'll see if we can figure out how
anybody?
they calculated this, because I can't figure it out.
Creative financing.
All right, I don't have any other miscellaneous items. Does council have anything additional to say? Ray, you're good.
I'm good.
Andy?
Good.
There's no one else here.
Has there been any updates on the boat at all?
They've been doing good.
Yeah, I know they're
Actually-
reinvesting, they're gonna put the pub back in, they're gonna reopen the
Yeah.
pub,
So.
I personally went down there and looked, they are doing
they're
improvements
cleaning it up.
that we talked about in one of these.
The new GM is pretty nice to talk to on that bad.
And main entryway, they
They're
did
fixing
redid all those
over.
tiles.
It is.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and I heard the pub's coming back because they thought that was a mistake, taking
was.
that out.
I know, I'm not.
Just so
Oh,
you
I
guys
used it all-
know,
On that same note, they've been really active, more so with,
yeah,
they've been sending she's like in
Kristen
marketing.
Thompson or something like
Yeah,
that. Anyway, I didn't know her.
but she's been showing up at our monthly Navy B meetings, and they've offered more money.
They gave $1,000.
And they're also, she's wanting to really help in advertising.
Past couple of years, we got
Really?
them,
So they've been more involved with us on things that they can try to help with. So.
and,
And they're not scheduling any events
when
as
we,
they,
when we have them.
as they move forward to contradict anything we're doing.
So they had a wall kind of built there for a while.
And then they did say, I did send out
Correct.
a request about Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
And asked him if, cause used to, we had the dinner in the VIP area. Then we went to the pub area and we had music out there, and so we didn't go to, well, I'm not saying we didn't go to rock. But we didn't go as
Not as
early,
early.
so, but, you know.
It was rock.
But anyway, so they said that they would get back with me on, cause we like to do the party like the first Friday in December, because everybody gets so busy, and, so, just so you know, we, it used to be a joke, I got the award for the first booking of the Christmas party at the boat. So,
They've been good to work with, better,
Yeah.
and there's still ongoing discussions with the other part of it. All right, to go to claims. Does have any comments on that or make a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve.
Motion by Lisa to approve the monthly claims.
I'll second it.
Second by Cliff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand. So that'll be that. Sure to sign that. Right. There's no other business. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
In early way, thank you.
Motion by Britt to adjourn. Second,
Yes.
Todd. All those in favor?
Hi.
Meeting adjourned.
Guys, thank you.
You guys have a nice weekend.
How you doing?
Yeah, it's true.
All right, we want to go other side.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. There's quite a bit involved in it.
You read it.
Does everyone want you to remember your brief?
Get the briefcase.
And